Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day here in America. Thank you so much for spending part of it with us here on the Great America Show. So much going on. It's just been over 6 months since Donald Trump returned back to office, and a lot has been going on, and a lot is going to continue to go on. Yesterday, President Trump tweeting out early in the morning that it's time to get rid of mail-in ballots. It's time to get rid of the very inaccurate, very expensive voting machines that have been ruining our election now for a very long time, particularly most recently in 2020. The Democrats love them, which means they're probably bad for America. Our guest today is my good friend Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of MyPillow, a man who has taken every dollar he has and dumped it into trying to save this country, trying to save our elections, and trying to further election integrity. With all that's going on with President Trump and this election and 2026 right around the corner, I figure there's no better person to talk to than Mike.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Mike, it's great to have you back. I appreciate you joining us today. I want to talk about a statement that President Trump put out yesterday on Truth Social that I think may be directed at you because you're one of the few people, along with the great Lou Dobbs, may he rest in peace, who never gave up the fight about one thing, and that's voting machines. And I'm just going to I read it on yesterday's show, but I'm just going to read the first sentence and get your reaction from President Trump on Truth Social. Quote, "I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly, in quotes, inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than very accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election." This is something we've all been waiting for since election night on November of 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lou was waiting for it since 2006, I believe.
Yeah.
We caught the tail edge on day. But I'm telling you, everybody, I was telling the media today as they kept calling me, and you won't see my quotes out there, what I told them. I've been looking. Oh, you didn't use any of my quotes because they wanted to say, one of them said, well, Mike, when did you meet with them and tell them to say this? And I go, you guys, I've been telling all you guys this for 4.5 years. I don't change. I said, I guess when Tulsi Gabbard came out a couple of weeks ago and said the same thing I've been saying, here's all the evidence, here's the machines, we got to melt them down, turn them into prison bars. And I'm telling you, John, this will go down in history when this comes to fruition, the most important thing that President Trump will ever do, because everything comes from our elections, everybody. He also said, I believe it's true. He said all the other countries have given up mail-in voting. They won't do it because it's so corrupt. But I will tell you this is what I do know for a fact. 132 countries have given up electronic voting machines. The last one being Argentina, everybody, and did it in 4 months. He is our great president. When he put this out, I mean, it's like, he knows, and then the one media goes, he hasn't always been that, he was okay with early voting in the 2024 election. I said, I said what he said was too big to rig. I said, he has always been against the machine. Yeah. He's over here saying paper ballots hand counted. I'm over here saying melt down the machines and turn them into prison bars. I think we're pretty much saying the same thing. We've been in lockstep for 4.5 years.
There's too much
I'm
there's way
so
too much.
happy.
There's way too much Ethernet cable in those devices to melt them into prison bars. Mike, it'd be too malleable
Right.
because internet cords.
Well, we can recycle.
So, the thing that's so mind-boggling to me, and nobody can answer this question, and maybe you can, but it's highly unlikely because it's yet to be answered, Mike. We don't have private companies running our IRS department. We don't have private companies running our police department. But I want to read you some stats that I've been pulling together over the last few days. For context, the 2020 U.S. presidential election, which was approximately 160 million votes cast, with a turnout of about 67% of people voting, given ES&S, Dominion, and HART together roughly cover 92% of U.S. voting machines, we can estimate that their machines processed a significant portion of the votes. ES&S, with about 50% of the market, their machines likely counted 80 million votes. Dominion, with an estimated market share of 30 to 35%, counted anywhere from 48 to 56 million votes. And HART, estimated about 10 to 15%, Mike, did about 16 to 24 million. Three companies counting 92% of the vote here in America. Do I seem crazy? Does Mike Lindell seem crazy to ask the question, why are three private companies counting the most important thing that we do as citizens in this country?
Yeah, and then also let's not forget Smartmatic, who just has LA County supposedly, but all of their software, which is called GEMS, GEMS, is in every single device. So this is what I've been all along, everybody. You have these companies, and even Amy Klobuchar said it in Kill Chain. She said you basically have four companies, private companies, just like you said, John, or three, doing all our election platforms. They're the ones counting the votes. They're the ones doing everything. And she wanted them gone. That was Amy Klobuchar in 2018 in Kill Chain. Kamala Harris, hundreds of Democrats wanted them gone. Okay. Well, they weren't part of the Uniparty, apparently, because the Uniparty wants them to stay. As we know, especially the Uniparty Republicans. Well, I'll tell you, this is what I've said all along is, here I get sued. All these, everyone, over 100 people got sued, lawfare and platforms. And if you can't speak out your First Amendment right of free speech against your government, which in these cases, these guys they are the government. These machines, I'm sorry, they're part of our government. They're a wing of it, basically. And the employee assistance program, or employee assistance, let's see.
The EAC, right?
The EAC, the Election Assistance Committee, those four that are appointed, those four, have blocked everywhere we can see, and they put out $894 million in your tax dollars alone in just the year 2024. And where do those dollars go? They went to block people like me and my people on the ground to keep these machines and to get polling books, to get all these other things. These guys have to go. They've got to be replaced. They even with our great president's executive order he's going to sign, there needs to be enforced. And these guys are out there saying, don't enforce it. This was the last one he did in March. Going, hey, you guys, just wait. Even though all our machines are obsolete or they're made with foreign parts, we'll just stall here till we get to these midterms. And it's disgusting. But you're right, John. These, what I've been saying all along, and it's so funny that the media calling all day long, you didn't see the headlines. See, Mike was right. They should have had that last week and a half ago when Tulsi Gabbard came out with this. Yeah. This is just a manifestation of the president going, hey, here's a solution. Why would we keep these? Why are we the only country in the world keeping the best or the worst of the worst? So you have your worst election you can do for your elections is the voting machine. Second worst is mail-in voting. They're actually at kind of a tie, and you actually need computers to do the mail-in voting to cheat with that too, because who looks at them? You got states like Utah and that. It's just, there's no day of voting. It's just all mail-in, and you can just make up a number.
And people are fooled. People are fooled too. I was talking with someone tonight, a friend of mine I had dinner with, and I said, Trump wants to do this, and he goes, "Wait, we vote by paper anyway." I go, "Yes, we vote by paper, but then it goes into a machine, and that paper is to never be seen again, and it's not tied to a single person, so you don't know what it is." So people are fooled. Go ahead.
Yeah, people need to know those are tabulators, everybody, and you can sit there all day long and say, "Well, we already have paper. They're backed by paper." All you do with the computers then is very simple. First of all, no one's going to see that paper when you just make your margin of win big enough where the margin of win big enough where you can't do a recount. And even if you can do a recount, like we tried to in Colorado, you can't see the paper. And anyway, Smartmatic, though, it's the one you left out of the equation. All the stuff that's coming out about them right now is over the top, because Smartmatic goes back to Venezuela. Everybody knows, I don't know if you all know what happened in Venezuela, but their machines went wacko, so they couldn't steal the election. Well, then they just called it up and said, "You know what? Here's the winner." And these Smartmatic, if you look at all the stuff back in the day that we tracked backwards of where this all began, and and by the way, this election assistance commission goes back to, wait on it, everybody, 2002. Gee, what happened back in those days? The hanging chads. Well, why not make a problem with hanging chads? It's funny, we never had that before, and all of a sudden we have hanging chad problem. Oh, you know what? You better bring in computers and electronic voting machines into your election. How come every other country, John, in the world is smarter than the United States? You know why? Because the United States, when all they did this was all a setup. If it wouldn't have been for 2020, them getting caught, which we believe was the most important election in history, people can argue with me and say, "Oh no, Mike, it was 16 or 24. They all are combined but 2020 you absolutely needed that to be able to go, hey, there's a big problem, and open up the onion for 4.5 years and say, where's the corruption? Where's the problems? And this today is a great day for our country. It'll be a historical day, is a manifestation of years of work by thousands of people on the ground, and bringing all this stuff and saying, hey, here's problems. Tulsi Gabbard didn't just wake up and go, hey, I'm going to go look over here inside this machine. She can't. They're gone. Those are erased.
Yeah.
We had it all. The teams out there had it all. That's where she's getting it. And, those requests they put into the states like Colorado for the 2020 election, 2022, there are no records left. I told them that. I go, you guys, there's no records left other than one, the image that Tina Peters took, and it's right up on Lindell TV for all to see, unless you're on Facebook, because old Suckerbuck covers up Lindell TV now.
we'll talk about that in a second. But before we move on, though, you'd mentioned something I'd argue with you. You'd say America's not as smart as these other countries. I'd argue with that. That's not the case. America's more complicit in cover-up. We look at everybody else, Mike, and all these other countries, and we laugh at them, Venezuela and North Korea and Cuba, and they don't hold the elections. They're all fake elections. But we were almost at the same point. I would argue with people that Donald Trump didn't want to run again. He had to run again. If he didn't run again, his life was over. He was facing 700 years in jail, a country that was going down the tubes. He had no choice. I'm sure Donald Trump would much rather be retired, but he's in this place now because God put him there, and I think he's happy he's there. But I don't think Donald Trump wanted to run again. He had zero choice because of what the Democrats put us in.
I disagree. And here's why I disagree. I said one of the things is the president, he doesn't like to lose, and he certainly doesn't like to be cheated. And he knew in the summer of 21 or the spring of 21. I spent a lot of time with him, and I'm going, and he's out there. We're out there screaming from the top of the line. It was rigged 2020, and you put things out there, and they just got covered up on every platform. Contains false information. Yeah. Lawfare started. There's a good example. They almost silenced a president, a sitting president, on January 7th. You took away all his voice on Twitter. Jack Dorsey's crooked Twitter. On those days, you took away the president of the United States, a sitting president. Now let's think about that. You guys, you need to realize and you're right. That you are right in one respect. Is he knew it was the only chance we had as a nation if he did, and if he said it before though. If he would have lost fair and square, that if it's not what the people wanted, he would he would have walked away. Now we don't know that, but he has said that. Yeah. But it was stolen. It was stolen from him, and he knows that. The people know it. Even the left knows it. I mean, and then you can't. There's going to be some you can never convince of that. It's very sad. You get these small, maybe 2% of the country, and they got to be really stupid at math. They got to be that just complete, not or deviations, because when you see the charts and you see no one can explain why did Pennsylvania have more votes than voters. It's still on the books like that, everybody. Somebody say, how did that happen? And by the way, John, you might have seen too another reason there was the big alarm about that China was involved in our election in the 2024 or 2020 election. Yes, just like I've been sounding the alarm. They're the ones they're saying, well, we found all the ballots brought in and stuff, these pre-signed ballots. You guys, you need to have computers to do all that stuff. Okay? Yeah. You can't these computers, because if you had all this come in, I'll give an example, John. Our UACAVA votes, our military vote, everybody. And I went around, remember, I put on 750 hours in my plane before it's gone now. I spent it all, but I put on 750 hours, wore out 4 pilots in a year, in about 14, 16 months, somewhere in there. And I flew around. One of the people I flew around was the middle of the night, middle of the night in Alabama, middle of the night in Colorado. These people would meet me and only me in person. Some of them even have to cover their face. They didn't want they wouldn't tell me their identity, some of them. Some of them did. I swore to secrecy. But all of them were the people that counted the UACAVA votes that came in. They're the last votes counted. And Obama changed that, everybody. They don't get mailed in anymore from overseas. They get emailed in. And every one of them, like think of a box like in Alabama from this one, they had called their other people. And this was a Democrat and a Republican. And all of them matched. They were like the down tickets matched too. So here's Biden on a UACAVA vote, and all the down tickets matched. I mean, you guys can't make this up. Where Biden was getting, 98% of our military vote. I mean, this was their ace in the hole. If they needed that, they would have counted that. So my point is sure, you can have all these make-believe ballots made up, but you still, if people aren't going to look at the paper, then the computer can tell you whatever it wants. And and by the way, the computer can also change what's printed off on that paper. People don't realize that. The biggest thing is, John, is think of your bank account. I mean, your bank account, and let's just say something's wrong, and you go to the bank, you go, hey, something's wrong here, you can't, we don't match up, we did this, they did that. And when the first place they're going to look, they're going to open up the machine. They're going to look back till they find the deviation of what happened, And people say, well, Mike, ATM machines, when was the last time you had an error in an ATM machine? Not too often, but I've had it happen. Call this little number on here. I don't know if it's ever happened to anybody out there, but it's happened to me probably 3 times. That's not a lot. But the thing is when you have these election machines, let's say there was nothing malicious. Nothing. The fail rate of these is off the charts. The fail rate, it's off the charts. So just on that alone, if you have a mistake in an ATM, it's just money, okay? It's money. Either you get it back or you don't. You have a mistake in an election, your machine, you lose your country.
You have Joe Biden, Mike.
Yeah, you have Joe Biden. I mean, but that was no mistake. That was very planned out.
For sure.
And but anyway.
Real quick, before we move on. The issue, I saw yesterday, I was reading that Chris Ruddy over at Newsmax settled with, I guess, Smartmatic or
I text him, yeah.
Real quick, because I can see it from both sides, and I know Chris, and I like him a lot. He was facing a $1.6 billion lawsuit from, I forget, whatever it was, Smartmatic.
Dominion.
Oh. And I think they settled it down to $69 or $70 million, which is which tells you all you need to know about these companies. You go from 1.6 billion to 70 million. It's just a cash grab, and that 70 million is just money in the bank for you. But if you look at it from Chris's standpoint, I understand why he settled, Mike. He was facing a Delaware court, a Marxist Democratic judge, the same judge who was in charge of the case against Fox News, where he repeatedly went after people by name, like Lou Dobbs, like Tucker Carlson, which has never been done by a judge before, which is unethical for a judge to do. So Chris Ruddy looks at this and says, well, what am I doing? Am I going to go into this courtroom in an uphill battle with the judge who may rule against me for $1 billion or 500 million and sink my entire company? Or can I do 70 million? Now, it's sad that Chris had to even come to that point and say, this is what it is. But this is the new reality in America, that we have lawfare.
That's lawfare. And if you didn't have people fight it like I did and we won, remember, everybody, My Pillow won in Colorado. 3 weeks ago, they told me it was impossible, the $5 million challenge in a Minnesota court, and a corrupt judge in Colorado that we had, a horrible judge there, where My Pillow won, and we're going. And she also let the $5 million challenge go in there that Mike's evidence is no good, even though it was still an appeal. Anyway, we appealed that. We lost in a state appeal. I said to my lawyers last November, I said, can't I do anything else? He goes, you could go to federal appeal court, but it never gets turned over. It'd be millions against you to one, and hadn't been done in 40 years. I said, I don't care. The truth will set you free. And we went there, everybody, and the 3 judges, federal judges, overturned it 3 weeks ago. Now that I can take back now, we get a new trial in Colorado for the 2 million instead of 68 million. Here's the reality. Chris Ruddy is a coward when it came to, he testified in mine over in Colorado. He was so afraid of getting what? You were already sued, Chris. And I'll say this to him on your show. I texted to him. I've said it to him to his face. Chris, you're a big coward. You're listening. And I said, you should have never settled. You shouldn't have settled the first time around with Coomer. He's the one that first settled, John, back in the spring of 21 to any one of these companies. And he settled to Coomer for $750,000. So then it sets a precedent. Oh, Coomer must be right. Oh, just like Fox did with Dominion. Now, let me tell you, though, now I don't know this, but they're a publicly traded company now, and this could be a big no. Chris was still a coward, don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you, he had insurance. So insurance companies also can make decisions for the company. I told my insurance company back then, give me whatever money we'll settle on, and I'm fighting to the end, because you're not going to tell me whether to settle or not. That's what, I can't stand it. So Chris he's publicly traded, he talked to me, and maybe he had to get that out because, to move the stock, just at least a finite number. They're afraid of the 1 billion, like you said. But the insurance company could have paid that. I don't believe that came out of Chris's pocket. It came out of the publicly traded company.
Well, no, they said it's going in payments, in 3 installment payments over the next 3 years, I think.
Oh, is that what it is? So it's spread out. It's like, yeah. But see, I didn't see the finalization. But I will say this, John, if he would have waited rather than negotiate, that was set to go to trial. If he'd have waited today, the same day our president says, hey, and a week ago, Tulsi Gabbard says, hey, these machines are bad. And then today, we've been trading, you and I, Lou, for how many years? And if he'd have waited and then the president comes out with this today, they got to go. Do you know how many people settled just in the last 2 weeks for no money? A lot. These machine companies, I can't name their names, but they came to them and said, hey, can we settle? We'll do a walk away. Well, that's a lot better than 69 million, Chris. These companies are settling for walkaways. They're corrupt. They're corrupt as all get out. You did nothing wrong, Chris. You did nothing wrong. The only thing you did wrong is you weren't courageous way back in 21 when a guy ripped his microphone off me when I went on there to say why I lost my Twitter account. And the guy goes, And I said, "Well, I lost my Twitter account because I won't shut up about the voting machine." "Oh, we don't talk like that here on Newsmax." And he ripped off his microphone and walked off the course. Okay, Chris came. The reality is I didn't. I wasn't told I couldn't talk about why I lost my Twitter, and this all came out in court in Colorado. And Chris looked like scared to death when his testimony. And I don't blame him, because you know what? When they come after with lawfare, you either can be as courageous, or you can be, you don't want to lose everything. So I do understand that part, John, that, Chris is afraid to lose everything. He was back then, and he is now. It's just like this. I said there was a lot of people that, Jenna Ellis and a lot of other people that made plea bargains and said there's nothing wrong with machines and all this, because they were afraid to go to jail. And I don't blame them. I've been in jail. But I mean, there's it's sad. It really is that but the media, the good thing is, here's the good timing of it, is Donald Trump, what did you hear more in the news today? Chris Ruddy settling for $69 million against the corrupt Dominion voting machines, or Donald Trump saying, "Hey, we're going to get rid of them and mail-in ballots." Yeah. I think, John, it's a big win. And I think it was God's timing that President Trump came out the same day as that settlement. Because that settlement ruins it for everyone else that's still in this fight, including myself and My Pillow. Remember, My Pillow still sued by $1.3 billion by Dominion and Smartmatic. Yeah. And you know when they told me these cases would be done? 2 years from now. One of those companies said, "Mike, if you quit talking about us, we'll walk away." I said, "I'm never going to quit talking about you. Are you kidding? And lose our country?"
I hear every day about the products you all wish My Pillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
You also have to look at it from the other side, Mike. Yeah. When have we seen a fair judge? And you know this better than anybody. Right. When have you? No, you can put the evidence, Mike, in front of the judge's face that shows X, and the judge will say it's Y. So you got to understand what these people.
I understand that. It's like
you never have a fair shake.
Look at Tina Peters. She's sitting in jail for 9 years. We need to get her out under the Federal Witness Protection Program. I hope our president does that soon. But you're right, John. I had the bad judge in Colorado, because then all you're looking at then is his lawyers could be looking, hey, we know this judge is going to rule against us. They got a precedent set with Fox, but there's an appeal. That's what we have appeals for, But maybe it's all what lawyers cost nowadays. By the time you get done, I still think they could have settled for a lot more, like a lawyer fees, but it is what it is, and that's what lawfare is, everybody. And remember, it had not been done in our country since the 1700s. Yeah. It destroys. Do you know, John, what they said in Colorado? That crooked judge there let them say this to the jury too. That I had called the Coomer and his lawyers. One of the things I was in there for is, here's what I said: that the Coomer and his lawyers were part of the biggest criminal crime family that ever lived, and they were traitors against our country and all of humanity. And so now, but the lawyer gets up there, which I still stand by that. I mean, it's just disgusting what they've done to My Pillow and what they've done to this country with lawfare. They went to the jury, and here's what he said. This is the last thing the jury heard. We all know Mike Lindell was worth in the tens of millions, probably upwards of 100 million. But now we've heard through the court here that his net worth is minus 10 million, and we are asking the jury here today for $60 million. But if you want to give more, it will probably bankrupt anyway, My Pillow and Mike Lindell, but so be it. We need to send a message to the country that you do not talk about our election platforms and put out false information. That's what he said, John.
That's insane. And a judge just sits there.
And the judge let him say it. And that judge now, by letting in that evidence that I just won in that $5 million challenge, we're going to get a new trial for that, everybody. And that's, but yeah, I see your point. And then you're banking on you fight it and fight it and fight it. And then you go to appeals court, and then maybe you get another crooked judge. But here's what I know that's coming, and maybe Chris didn't know this. I still say back then, I know what he did back then, and I kept, because you guys realize I have not been able to go on Newsmax even to talk about My Pillow, because his lawyers, he's afraid that I'm so branded against the machines that you put Mike Lindell on, he hates voting machines, and that's the shame of it, John. But anyway, he probably didn't, and he should know, he's friends with the president, that what was going to be coming out and what's going to come out this next month, everybody, it's over for those machine companies, Dominion, Smartmatic, ES&S, Hart. It doesn't matter that ES&S and Hart did not sue anybody. It's over for them. Now, did they go back through ES&S broke antitrust laws when they sold Diebold to Dominion, you guys. These guys, you can't believe it. When you're controlling elections, you control the world. I mean, let's think about this. And there's some other stuff, too, that's going to be coming out that is real important, where Brendan Clapper and all that stuff you're hearing about, where they turned these things to steal other elections in other countries. They turned it on the U.S. That's all going to be coming out, too. You heard that here first on your show.
Yeah, there's so much left to come out that's hidden, I think, beneath the halls of Congress, the FBI, wherever you want to look. I think there's things that are hidden places.
Oh, absolutely.
But there needs to take some sort of tide. I think in the next year or so, the next Fox, I keep forgetting if it was Dominion or Smartmatic that settled. I guess it's Dominion that moves forward with this trial over the next year, that I'll probably be called as a witness to, that I had to be deposed.
Which one's that with?
I guess it was Dominion. It was through Fox News. And
no, that'd be the Smartmatic one that's still fighting. Yeah, they're fighting Smartmatic, but I'm telling you, John, all these are going to go away. They've done criminal stuff. When I say, I'm telling you, you're going to, over the next 2 months, it's not that what are they fighting for? Then, like I said to my attorneys today, I said, call up those two machine companies and say, you know what? I'll let you walk away in light of what the president said today. And that would be a gift to them, because I know they're going to be gone anyway. And I could care less. Go make blenders or something. Just don't make voting machines for our election. And this goes for maybe Hart's got some good people. I'm saying there's probably good people, good employees that don't know what goes on, that they're all on the internet. There's it's like having it's like, here's what I give it to these journalists out there. John, I told my journalist friends, a lot of them I hadn't heard from. New York Times called me today, and Swin from the Rolling Stone, and all my buddies are calling me up, and I'm going, oh, you guys can call me now. You're trying to twist this story. I said, don't you get it, Swin? And I'm talking to this Nick from the New York Times. I said, you guys, if you guys are for real, if you're just brainwashed and you're not part of this evil, don't you realize that, and they're good people. A lot of them, I like them, these guys, but they're so brainwashed, or they're paid. If they're paid and they know what they're saying and printing is wrong, then they're as much a part of it, I tell them, as where I said, you guys can't be that stupid. Yeah. I said, they can't be that stupid. So you got to
they want to talk about defamation, which is total bullshit. These companies aren't worth a tenth of what they're suing for. Defamation is supposed to be calculated on what damages you incurred. These companies aren't worth a tenth, a hundredth of what $1.6 billion is. Yet they go out and these judges say, yeah, no problem. 1.6 billion, 2.8, 3 billion, 5 billion. Who wants 10? Who wants 20 billion? And it's literally made a joke out of anyone who's a legitimate lawyer in this country. They must be sitting there like, what's going on with this? I mean, they're happy as heck because they're getting their commissions on it, but they must be like, what is going on in this country?
No, absolutely. And you know what? I've decided to be proactive with that. John, just in the last 2 weeks, Facebook, old Suckerbuck, turned up his old canceling knob on Lindell TV, and I'm going, right when we knew all this stuff's going to start coming out. And we have, remember everybody, we have a White House correspondent. We have a correspondent at the Capitol. I said, you know, you got Rudy Giuliani, Lou used to be on here, and but our voice has gotten so much big. We're publicly traded. And here's old Mark Zuckerberg. Everything we started posting last week, you guys, he didn't cover up the posts. You ready for this? He covered up Lindell TV, the link, and said contains false information. The whole platform. Yeah. You just covered up a whole evening. I have the Lindell Recovery Network over there. I Hope Report. It's a news channel, a 24/7 news channel where we report the news. So he covers that up, and it goes deeper than that. We find out, I put up a post for my defense fund, everybody, for it was under mypillowtrial.com, and we had people, we were posting that for help for this, because we get a new trial now if we can raise money for the appeal for these new appeal lawyers, because of what happened with I found innocent, or I found that the evidence was from the 2020. Like anyway, old Mark Zuckerberg covered them up too. Bing, 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 covers them all up. Then we find out that our hosts like Emma Robinson, myself, Rudy Giuliani, all of a sudden you're going live in Silk, and it goes out to 10 people. So they put this big swish on us, everybody. Now, remember, Mark Zuckerberg also, right before the 2024 election, would not let me be in the My Pillow commercials on there. I had to, holding a pillow, I had to completely remove myself from all photos or anything because it said it was political. Because why? Because I'm a big patriot. That I wanted Donald Trump to win. It's disgusting. Yeah. But I will say this, that when you suppress a whole network, how do you even put a thing on that? You're telling the world that, you're covering up Lindell TV. So what I did, John, is I called up Alan Duke. Now, everybody, Alan Duke is the Facebook fact checker. He's the one that covered everything up in 2020 and 21, all through there. He has 4 people working for him. Martin's over in Belgium, and this was it. They were the whole group. They're a third party hired by Facebook, and him and I went round and round for years. He was we get to the Democrat convention, and I shaved my mustache off, everybody, and here comes my old buddy Alan Duke. I kid him. I always send him this meme. It's got this lady scolding this little boy and says, "If you keep lying, you're going to grow up to be a Facebook fact checker." And it's very funny. But we get into the Democrat convention, and Alan walks in with me, and I don't have time to tell you the story how Alan and I actually kind of became friends. At first, I thought he was so evil, but I believe he's just brainwashed now, that he really believes so much. He's been brainwashed. And anyway, his eyes are starting to get open, though. Here's what happened. We walk in there, and Harry Sisson, I think his name is, a rotten little brat. Weirdo. Harry Sisson and 2 other weirdos there, the journalists, and they come up and just start attacking me. I no more got through the gate in there, right? And here's Alan Duke next to me, and they start attacking him. And he goes, wait a minute. I'm Alan Duke. I'm the Facebook fact checker. And I'm not kidding. They all look like he's like a legend to them. They go, "Oh, we're really sorry, Mr. Duke. We're so sorry. We're so sorry." And then he looked at them, and he looks at me. He goes, why are they attacking me just for because I'm with you? And I go, "How do you like it, Alan?" I said, "You know me. What have I ever done wrong other than want to help our country secure our elections?" And I happen to believe that a man would make a great president way back in 2016 when I first got attacked. And I said, "Now you're getting attacked just because you're standing next to me, and they thought you came in with me. How does it feel?" Now, you guys, so I call up old Alan last week after old Suckerbuck covered me up, right? Covered up the Lindell TV. And Alan goes, "Mike," he goes, "we didn't do that. We got fired at Meta. We got fired at Facebook." They all got let go. All the fact checkers, you guys ready, got let go. There was a couple other ones too I didn't know about, but they all got let go. So you know what he said? Now they got other jobs for other things to fact check. But he goes, I said, "Well, what's Zuckerberg doing?" He goes, "They're using artificial intelligence." So whoever programmed that in stuck in the name Lindell. Do you follow me? Yep. Anything that Lindell, it could be a vet, it could be anybody, whatever, on Facebook. So Alan said, he goes, "Mike, by them covering your whole network up, that actually gives us a bad name. And he goes, I said, well, Alan, you should go sue old Suckabuck too. We could have a wonderful old time. But there's a difference, everybody, when it's real, what they're doing to everybody can get free speech. And then everyone's going, well, here's a private platform. Rubbish. When you become a monopoly, and he was a monopoly, and he still has the people over there, when you're destroying, you're trying to destroy competition, then why even let us have a platform up there, just to have a platform that you can put a cover up, you know what I mean? So anyway, we're gonna go after him. You'll see it in the news. You guys heard it here first. You know me, I'm not backing down on that. And so.
And you shouldn't. Like, it's time for people like you. If Lou Dobbs were still alive, I'd be
he would have loved today.
Telling him it's time to go on the offense.
He's looking down today going, go, Mr. President. And it's so awesome. And which brings up another thing too, John. I told you last time, I think, or maybe I haven't talked to you since, or your audience, but I was very seriously considering running for Minnesota. Remember, running for governor of Minnesota. Now, let me tell you something. Right after the 2020 election, I said, I wouldn't run to be a dog catcher until we get rid of these machines. Yeah. Well, everybody, hold on, everybody. Look at the timing. Look at the timing. The president said, what did he quote today? We are getting rid of these before the 2026 election in the and mail-in ballots. So here you go. And here's the thing. We always worry about primaries, everybody. We worry about the primaries, and because that's when the Republicans, the uniparty Republicans, will cheat and throw someone in there. And when you get in there, they're going, how did this rhino win? Yeah. Well, that's what they do. They cheat in the primaries. That's a given. And what do they use? Computers. But here's how you beat them. You do polls, everybody. When the polls are so big, like Ken Paxton in Texas, I helped them down there. They're so big, you cheat in a computer. Even the Democrats say, open up that thing. Come on. There's got to be a mistake. Well, you guys, I will tell you this. We did a preliminary poll in Minnesota.
I heard.
And I came back, I believe it's like no one's even close to me in the primaries. It's like 80-20. It's beyond belief. It's really absolutely awesome. And also the favoritism rating was, I believe it was 40 to 60%. So they go like, it starts at the top. You really like this guy. You kind of like that guy or whatever it is. And it's like 75 or 80% like or about. It's really big. The guy told me that it was really, it's a big number. It's a big number.
I heard. I got the call as soon as the poll was done, and he said, Micah, he does pretty damn good in the primary. So, I hope you decide to do it, but at the same time, I don't wish it on anybody. It's not an easy life. Well, there's nobody more bulletproof than you.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota, you guys, everyone says, well, you got we have the worst governor. We have the worst governor. I grew up in Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota my whole life, and it has changed the stuff that they've done there. And you guys might not think it's a big thing or whatever, but just even things like our flag, they changed from one of the greatest state flags to basically it's a Somalian flag. It looks like that's what people call it. I mean, it's just it's not a U.S. flag. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. And then you have we're the place where they burned down the precinct. They burned down the precinct. They burned down all my friends that we had all gotten off drugs. They started new businesses. They're all burned to the ground. And, it's just, it's a shame because it's a beautiful state. And I don't think it's, everyone says, oh, it's too far gone. It's too far gone. And you know what? Nothing's too far gone. With God, all things are possible. And, things can change very fast. You guys look at where we were. Look what our president's done in 6 months.
Yep.
You guys, this is incredible. And it doesn't, and what you find is, everyone says, well, Minnesota's a blue state. No, it's not. This is what, realize they trim, Donald Trump won in 16 and 20 in Minnesota. They stole 280,000 votes in 2020. Yeah. That we do know. In 2016, we'll say that he could have lost it. I don't know that one exact number. I'd have to go back, but I was so focused on the 2020 but yeah, no. And I live in Minnesota. You can't.
You can't deny. I know what people know there, and a lot of people are fleeing because they've given up. But
Yeah.
I
They're
don't
going
think we should.
they're going to places to be free. I mean, Keith Ellison
Yeah.
comes after you. You've got Tampon Tim Waltz, who puts
Yeah.
tampons in men's bathroom. Your
Yeah.
football team, Mike. I don't think you're much of a football fan, but I'll fill
I'm
you
a
in on
huge
this.
football fan. I lived and breathed. You remember, everybody, if you look up most heartbroken team in history of all pro sports is the Minnesota Vikings. And now throw on those two cheerleaders we just got. It's disgusting.
They're gorgeous, though.
Absolutely disgusting.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. It really is. And there's here. Well, Mike, there's been male cheerleaders. Yeah, there has. They're men.
dress
And
like
they throw
men.
the people up. They throw the people
Right.
up and down. I mean, give me a break. This is different, and it's disgusting, and it's wrong. And the NFL better wake up. But especially the Vikings. But anyway, we're so heartbroken. You just throw that on the pile.
I had to get it in.
But I will tell you this, Keith Ellison, you guys, he attacked my Lindell Recovery Network.org. It's a C3. He's after it. He wants to shut it down. People say, well, why would he do that, Mike? I said, well, there's three reasons. One is he's afraid I'm going to run for governor. Two is he doesn't want Minnesota to lose their electronic voting machines. I'll tell you that. And number three, he doesn't want anybody finding Jesus Christ. It's a Christian platform getting you off addiction and finding the Lord. And it can only be those three. That's the only thing I think, or a combination of those three. Yep. And he's disgusting. He's disgusting. John, do you know I didn't ask for one dime for that for all the years. Like they're reaching out for 2018. Up until last year, I think it was, or maybe early this year, I never asked for one donation ever for the Lindell Recovery Network because I had all the money I ever needed. Just throw it in. I just want to help addicts. It's free. It's online. Anyone can do it. It's how I got saved on February 18, 2017. The same program's online. It's free. It can't be free. Well, and then now he's trying to go after this year. And I'm going, I don't even think you can do that. I haven't even filed my taxes for this year, you schmuck. I mean, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So we're getting an attorney. We are going to get we decided we're going to get an attorney because I could just say, you know what, we'll just step out of the network, and then he would win, just giving up. And I don't care what it's going to cost to fight this, but I'm sure if I called up and said, hey, what if we just shut it down? He'd say, okay, go ahead. That's fine. But I won't do that. I won't give up.
Sick people, Mike. Like I said, it's about time you're on the offensive, and I hope you do decide to run for governor because we'll be back here to support you. Because
and we'll decide in the next 3 weeks here. I think by the first week in September. I'm doing another poll and stuff, and my wife and I are praying about it, and everyone says, well, Mike, how much you have? How will you have how will you have the time? Well, you guys, you just heard the president. Today was a big relief for me. I mean, all the work I've done and others have done for 4.5 years, 12 hours a day average, probably, if you go back in time. That's my whole focus. People would call me up, Mike, can you help out this? Can you help out that? No, I'm focused on one thing, getting rid of these voting machines, these computers in our election. Mike, can you help save the whales? Can you help the border? Can you help this? No. It's where I was focused and hyper-focused. To see that all come to fruition now, I'll be able to, that work was not in vain. And that makes me feel so good because now was I scared that it was going to, it wouldn't get done in time? Not with this great president, I'll tell you that. I'm going. He knew, just like I did, that he knows the number one thing. And by the way, you guys, in the poll, when you do these polls of what's the biggest concern of you now in polling, election platforms have tipped into the top 3. That's unheard of for a new issue. You got the typical ones, illegals, abortion. You got the economy, and all this stuff. To have elections climb all the way into the top 3, some places it's number 2, some places it's number 1 when you go spots that they know their whole election was stolen. I'm sure that nice Democrat down in Georgia that got 0 votes in her own precinct, probably number 1 on her list, right? Yeah. But this is where we're at. So it's very exciting times we're in, John. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is. The tides are turning, Mike. Like I said, I think this is only 6 months. Another 6 months scares me because of how much great things are going to happen.
Right.
It's hard to be as optimistic as I've been for the last 6 months.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I lose probably looking down, going, man, like for me, if I don't pay attention for 2 days, and I'm so hyper focused, like I was the last week on my pillow because we had another, they just came after us, and it's more on that. That's another attack, separate issue. But when I don't watch anything for like 3 days, you can miss. It's like missing 2 weeks or a month back with normal politicians.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
not only is our president doing things horizontal, he's doing them vertical too. Imagine lining up 10 issues and you're working on all 10 of them at the same
Yep.
time. And can you guys think about this? He's stopping this war in the last 3 days. He's stopping this war, mediating this war, flying to Alaska and back. What does he do in his off time? He throws out a tweet and says, "We're getting rid of the voting machines and going to paper ballot." And then, I always love this when he says, thank you for your attention to this matter.
It truly is, because that's for anyone who doesn't know President Trump. That's his way of cackling at the end of it, just to laugh and say, "Hook the bird at you," and say, "Guess what? I'm the only person to ever win the presidential election 3 times in a row." Here's the bird to the Democrats, of course, not his supporters. Right. I have this tweet up right in front of me, and it's "Thank you for your attention." And he signs it at the end, Mike. Sometimes Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, and the Democrats have just got to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, people don't realize that he's so funny. I mean, it's just.
Did you see? Before we wrap up, I got to ask you, Gavin Newsom last week, or as he calls him, Newscom. Yeah. He went out and did an interview, and he says, "If you don't believe that this is this redistricting plan, if you don't believe this is Donald Trump telling us he's running for president in 2028, I know he's running. You know how I know? He sent me a hat that says Trump 2028 on it." And I'm like, this guy really is stupid. Like, how dumb are you?
Oh, man.
Like, it's like the rat walking through the rat trap who's already went through it once and escaped it to go back and get cheese. You're like,
that it's so funny because it's so much marketing and he's so good at it. And,
genius.
And it's just, and evil is greedy. Evil is greedy. They get out in front of themselves in the market. I don't know what they're going to do, John. I want to say too, before everybody, our voice now has gotten so big this time around, and with your great podcast, but all these other platforms and stuff, and I just think that the media, and I knew it was going to happen before Fox News and Newsmax. I got to throw Roddy in there too, because I'm telling you, part of the deal, I guarantee you, John, that you're missing, that you don't see. I don't care what care about either 69 million, but I guarantee you there's a pledge in there, because now, especially now these public traded, you don't even say anything about any elections in the past. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, I've said it all along. The president coming out with that today, I don't know, I don't watch Fox, but I'm gonna find out from my buddies if they would even announce that, or Newsmax saying, "Hey, the president's going to get rid of these machines." That's news, everybody. Now let me tell you, the other stations, and this is CNN. I seen the other day, they got hosts on there going, "Hey, that like it was cleaning up DC. I live in DC. This ain't so bad. Why are you guys, and they've said it before, Donald Trump could get the cure to cancer and they would still somehow figure out a way to ban it." And the only thing I can say to that, and I've told the president this many times, I said, "Sir," it's exactly what I said, "Sir, everybody loves you. Some just don't know it yet." Yeah. It's true. It's true. John, finally, whatever it takes, once a person gets in this bucket and gets in there, I don't care what side you're on, you never leave it, because it's like your brain opens up of common sense going, "Gee, let's just take, what if it wasn't him doing that? What if it was anybody else?"
Yeah.
Boom. It would be the best thing since sliced bread, right? It would be huge. And that's where we're at. But anyway, we're winning. This was so big. I'm so happy today that
Yeah.
It's for me, it's a big relief because a lot of my fight is getting people on the ground. We fight at the ground level. We fight the politicians. We fight the Rassenbergers, the Kim Hammers of Arkansas, the Robin Vosses of Wisconsin, and they kept thinking, we kept thinking, hey, we got to keep fighting, even though we keep losing it, or they keep blocking us. And, but I'll tell you what, I can't say enough, and I've never met Tulsi Gabbard, but I'll tell you what, there's a hero. Yeah. I mean, to come right out with it, here it is, and you go right into the eye of the hurricane with them voting machines. I mean, did you notice that didn't get a lot of airplay on all the media, did it?
They were probably scared of getting sued.
It got social media airplay, everybody. Everybody should be sharing that everywhere. And that's all you got to do. You got bookends. Here's her report, or here's her partial report, and here's Donald Trump. Here's the solution. Report, solution. Yeah. And anyone in between. Yeah, I see some people on my, the commenting today. Mike, you've never shown any evidence. I got news for you, everybody. Go to lindelltv.com and click on Inside the Machine. You can spend 10 weeks there just checking it all out. Have a nice time.
Mike, as always, it's a delight, and we could probably talk for another 2 hours.
Right on.
I've taken enough of your time, and thank your wife for allowing you to spend some time with us tonight, and apologize.
This will be good. This will be good. We got upwards of an hour, so I'll be able to replay it over on my network, Lindell TV. So we're good.
You folks know where you can catch it. Mike Lindell, a great American. Hopefully, the next soon-to-be governor of Minnesota. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks to Mike Lindell, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on the Great America Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. We'll meet you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody. God bless.